Ladies, gents, welcome to the show. If you're new here, welcome. This is a brand new channel. We talk about becoming your highest self, all that good stuff. So welcome, welcome kings, welcome queens. We don't discriminate around here. So somebody recently asked me for my absolute best love advice. And this is a really interesting topic because at the end of the day, if you don't have this one thing I'm about to talk about, really just genuinely speaking and generally speaking, you're not going to have a great time dating. You're not going to have a great time doing a lot of things, especially dating. And so this one thing is so important to me, and it feels like a lot of people, specifically more men than women, it feels like a lot of people are kind of lacking it these days. And this one thing is self-respect. What do I mean? I was on a date, I think 2 or 3 nights ago, something like that. Beautiful, absolute head turner of a girl, okay? Seriously, and she's an old friend. We used to kick it back in the day, college I went to, and I put her onto Death Note, a lot of stuff like that. And she was a great friend, but she was a very attractive friend. Fast forward, it's been 5 years, 6 years, and so we're chopping it up over drinks. I'm drinking a mocktail. I'm not really drinking too much these days. We had planned this date in advance. I mean, it'd been like a week, something like that. And so it's finally, Friday. We get to hang out. We're chopping it up, talking. She's feeling on me. She's looking great. She's smelling great. And she briefly mentions, oh, I'm going to go to the club a little bit after this. And I was like, that's kind of weird. We get in an Uber because she was really hungry. And in the Uber, she is calling, I guess I'm presuming her friend or something like that. I hope it was a friend. And mind you, it's 9:45. She's calling her friend and she's like, yeah, I'm just going to get dinner real quick with this guy and then I'm going to head right over to the club. Hangs up. At this point, I'm sitting there like, okay, so 1, this was premeditated, right? 2, the weirdest thing about all of this is the fact that I didn't know about it whatsoever. And last but not least, you were late to the date. I don't really care too much about that kind of stuff, but it does kind of beg the question, like, what are we really doing here? Like, why am I about to go spend about $100? Drinks were $50 for 2 drinks. Why am I about to go spend $100 on some food when you're about to just go to the club, probably not even text me the next day? What's that, right? We get to the lobby because I think the restaurant is like on the 7th floor or something like that. We get to the lobby and I kind of just stop her and I say, you know what? You are beautiful. You're awesome. This has been a great time. But I need to cut this date short just out of respect for myself. And she said, what do you mean? I said, I just feel like your attention is kind of split in 2 different directions. And I really value intention and presence. And that's what I'm looking for at the moment. And she kind of looks at me in shock. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know, like, that's my fault. And I'm like, no, it's totally fine. I had a great time. Let's just get in the Uber, take you back to the parking lot. In the Uber, she starts like tearing up and stuff, nothing crazy. And so I start consoling her and she's like, are you sure you're not mad? And I'm like, I am literally okay. Right now, even in this moment, I'm still not mad. I had a great time. Why? Because I have a lot of self-respect for myself and I love myself. And most importantly, it wasn't about sending a message to her specifically. It was about sending a message to my higher self, to myself, right? I don't want to contradict my higher self. My higher self has standards. My higher self doesn't simp. My higher self isn't somebody that's like gonna pay X amount for a dinner, and the amount doesn't matter, but pay X amount for a dinner, then, try to go to a club with her to try and impress and compete and all that stuff. That's not me. I have a bedtime. I like to, be intentional with the person that I'm dating. What would most guys do in that situation? What I just described. They would try to go to the club with her. They would try to compensate. They would still spend money and all that stuff. They would text her, blow her up. They would probably crash out. Maybe they would get angry. I didn't do any of those things. And so I'm not sitting here saying I'm like the model, guy or citizen or anything like that. But I am saying that there is something to be said about self-respect. See, when you are self-sabotaging, you are basically falling into your old identity. That's your old identity's way of competing against your higher self. It's a clash of titans, basically. It's a non-stop, and you're gonna notice that self-sabotage usually happens when you're falling back into this old identity. And you need to really pay attention to this part. As in, like, stop reading comments, stop looking at notifications, just watch this part specifically. If you want to become your highest self, and you don't want to keep falling back into self-sabotage, you're going to have to get disciplined. And why do I say that specifically? Because self-discipline is the highest form of self-respect. That's just a fact. So what does self-discipline look like? It looks like being disciplined sexually financially, just in general. You know, from a motivational standpoint, you're somebody that's disciplined. It looks like doing the small things. It looks like flossing at night. It looks like making your bed when you wake up. It looks like maybe meditating or journaling or calling your mom. It's the small things that start to add up and compound over time that drag you higher and higher up this elevation to your higher self. You know, I have all types of clients. I have women clients and I have men clients, and it seems like men seem to struggle with the self-respect a lot more than the women. The women have an entirely different issue. You know, theirs is more like too much self-respect, almost to like an egocentric degree. Not going to get into that right now, but the men, they're like really actively basically simping over a lot of women. They allow them to skate all over their boundaries. They allow them to pretty much do anything. It's a free-for-all. I've heard some crazy stories from some of my clients, and I'm sitting there like, you know, from the perspective of a young Don, this just sounds kind of crazy. And this is why sometimes, you know, people, you know, they harp too much on like the self-improvement, which I think self-improvement is important, but I think self-discipline is more important, right? Like being disciplined leads to the path of self-improvement. They're really obsessed with the whole NoFap thing. I think NoFap is important. I think it's very important. I also think SR is important, but at the same time, like, and I'm saying this respectfully, the cock watching is getting kind of crazy, guys. It's getting kind of crazy. The cock watching is a little too much for me. I feel like we're harping on the wrong things. You know, you can still have a lot of respect for yourself and still be a highest version of yourself without having to collapse into this identity that is just latching to these small little micro things. Does that make sense? You basically can always have self-respect for yourself. And this is what they really call aura. You know, aura is basically self-respect when you don't have to say a word. When you walk into a room and people just automatically respect you, they don't want to mess with you, they don't want to make fun of you, they don't want to talk behind your back, because there is this like presence of constant respect. And it's something that you can't fake. Some people call it a glow, some people call it magnetism. It's a combination of all these things we're talking about at the end of the day. And so if you are a man watching this video, the best love advice I can give you, literally, and it's contagious and it's infectious and people love it, is to simply just have self-respect for yourself. Why? 'Cause you're the shit. 'Cause you watching this are the shit. That's why. And it's not entitled to say that. It's not crazy to say that. I think we need to get back to saying that we are awesome. You know, like we are kings. We can pick our crowns back up. We can do our thing. The same way women can say that, you know, women are very good at empowering themselves. Men need to kind of empower themselves in these same circles. So yes, you're the shit. And if you're not the shit right now, you are going to become the shit. So listen, it doesn't matter, baby. It doesn't matter. So respect yourself. You know, it's the same kind of thing we talk about when guys are like, I want a wife. Well, you need to be a husband. I want a 10. Are you a 10? That's the kind of rigmarole we're talking about here, if that's even the right word to use. So for all my people that are a little bit confused, have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave me a comment. I read all the comments, even if I don't respond to all of them. And again, you guys, thank you so much for all the support. Brand new channel, like I said. So I mean, it's been awesome and very flattering seeing you guys support me so much. So talk to you guys soon. Have a happy Sunday. Peace.